do appreciate that.
Board members, Mr. Nerlin, I'm just grateful to be in front of you, and extremely thankful that Dave and Liz saved my life. Just to give you an idea of what kind of heart attack I had, the surgeon told my wife that only 5% of the population survive what's commonly known as a widowmaker, and I don't have a chance, even at the hospital, if it wasn't without their quick action and response. So I'm getting a second chance at life, all due to Liz and Dave. So thank you for having me here, and grateful, entirely grateful all my life to Dave and Liz. They're truly heroes. Thank you.
Good morning, Board. I am grateful for the opportunity to work with an employer that prioritizes professional development through valuable training resources. I encourage our teams to take full advantage of these opportunities as they contribute not only to professional and personal growth, but also to enhance safety and overall well-being in the workplace.
Thank you, Liz. Are there any comments from the board?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Dave, I just wanted to thank you. So ever since I got here, you are a trainer, and you do talk a lot, but it is for good reasons. I just wanted to personally thank you for helping us navigate, and I mean, this is just proof of your dedication and your commitment to the county, and just want to express that publicly. So thank you for the work you do. And I think I mentioned that I am CPR certified. I don't want to have to ever do that, but just knowing that you have the training. But if we have to do that, I'm willing to kiss my colleagues if it's means saving their lives on that. Thank you, Dave.
Well, that's good to hear that. Go ahead.
You know, I'm one who believes that God's in control and He places us where we need to be. And Liz and Dave both, I'm glad that you were where you needed to be. And Liz, we miss you, of course, up here on the third floor. But I'm glad that you were there, and I just want to say well done.
Gary?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. CPR is critical. I've been certified many times with it. Thankfully, never had to use it, but you're exactly right. When it happens suddenly. It's not something you plan for, and so it's good to have that training rather than to stand by helplessly. You didn't. You saved a life. Congratulations. Well-deserved honor and recognition.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been here a long time, and until today, didn't even know we had such a thing as a medal. But I'd say well earned. Yeah, first time in 10 years I've ever seen a medal given out to anyone. And but I can't think of a more deserving two people to do it. Like you, Supervisor, I'm good too, and I'd have to think about that for us up here. But it's just it's a good thing, and again, when the time comes, none of us know how we're ever going to react, and you two, without hesitation, did it, and the gentleman's here today because of that. And I've never seen anyone out-talk Liz before, so that's the quietest we've ever seen Liz. So, but again, when the time was called, you rose to the occasion. Very proud to call you employees of Fresno County.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, I was trained at one time and actually worked with, on a volunteer fire department where I was actually luckily around trained EMTs and we usually had paramedics show up really quick. So, but what you guys did is completely unique because that's something you don't do every day.
No.
And we're so thankful that you did that. So with that, why don't you guys come up here and take a picture with us, and would be honored to have your family come up.
And Buddy, while they're coming up, you want to move for the approval of the resolution?
We have to move for approval. You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor is going to say an aye?
Aye.
Okay.
have to have some of the taller people. Let's have Dave, you and Liv. Oh, yeah. One, two, three. Don't blink. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
We now move to the items that were pulled from consent. Item 25, which was pulled by Supervisor Maxig under Fresno County Employees Retirement Association, receive and file the Fresno County Employees Retirement Association Actual Evaluation and Review Report.
Yep, and I know that we've got the retirement administrator here, and one of the reasons I wanted to pull this item is we spend, as a county, I think close to right around $250 million a year just on the retirement system, and it's a very consequential program that we have, and so I just wanted Dawn to give a very brief synopsis of what's in here. Fortunately, we've seen the funded status of our plan grow over the course of the last 8 years, and we've had a relatively healthy market, and as we've done some smoothing, it's meant that our plan is pretty stable. But if there are significant impacts to the marketplace over multiple years, what we pay into retirement can go up significantly. So I think it's important for the board just to be aware of how the actions that we take here can have a direct impact on what we end up having to pay the retirement system. So with that, Don, if you could share a little bit, that'd be great.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, Supervisor Maxig. Just very briefly, you mentioned $255 million. That'll be next year. It's currently $283. So I'm here to give you some good news to let you know that our retirement rates are going down by 4.74%, or approximately $27.6 million. So there is a decrease. When I arrived 10 years ago, I was coming up here for the first 3 years of my tenure saying rates were going up. So I'm very happy to say that rates are going down. There's a new item on this agenda that hasn't been on any previous. It's action item 3, where Paul and I will get to talk about further smoothing future decreases. There's a colorful chart on page 85 that shows a lumpy road to normal cost. And with Paul and I getting together, we might have a way to smooth that out even further, such that we can anticipate continued decreases versus lumps along the way. So I'd prefer to give you good news going forward. Employee rates are stable, and they have been stable. Those are primarily based on our normal costs, how long we're going to live, and the rest is unfunded liability, which tends to go up and down based on the investment returns, as you mentioned. As long as they stay healthy, I anticipate rates to go down rather steadily. If we have a major loss or a major recession in the economy, we could see rates going up temporarily, but they will always go back to normal, and we are continuing to improve our funding. We're over 85.5% funded, no matter how you look at it, and that will continue to rise.
Thank you. I don't know if any of my colleagues have questions.
Anybody have any questions? Entertain a motion. Is there any public comment on this item? Hearing none.
I'll move for approval.
Okay, got a motion to approve. Second. All in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
thank you very much.
We now move to item 26, which was pulled by Supervisor Bredefield under Human Resources. Approve application for discharge for accountability pursuant to Government Code Section 25257 for collecting overpayment of wages made to Fresno County Probation Department Supervising Juvenile Correctional Officer Jessica McKenzie.
Yeah, Board, I don't really want to get too much into this, other than there's a lot of issues associated with this, a lot of questions I have related to this. We got some further legal analysis, I believe, yesterday. I believe we ought to be discussing this first in closed session because of all the issues that are involved. And so, I'm not really wanting to ask a bunch of questions out here. I think there's a lot of sensitivity to this. It involves an employee of ours. And so I would like to discuss this in closed session. I know we can't do it today, but put it on the agenda for our next meeting, address those questions, and then once those get resolved, we can bring it back. And I think that makes the most sense rather than doing this out here today.
The question I have is it possible to move this from here into closed session under anticipated litigation, discuss it, and then have,
I think we're actually going to have to set it as an existing under the workers' compensation matter.
okay, all right, fair enough.
If the board is okay with that, do I need to make a motion, or is it something? Okay, I'll make a motion that we move it to closed session, and then following our closed session, we can then reschedule it for open session.
I have no issue with that, Mr. Chairman. I'll second that motion.
The motion to continuance?
Yeah, move it to closed session at our next meeting to have
Okay.
it resolved there.
All righty. I got a motion and a second. Any public comment?
Thank you, Chairman members, Chairman Mendez, the members members of the board. I understand the reason for wanting to take this and discuss it in closed session. And I'm here in support that the county would take this measure. There's been a lot of pain, a lot of difficulty in regards to this matter. We represent this employee, and the matter really needs some resolution. And I'm coming here in support that the board would move to resolve this matter, allow this employee to be able to move forward. Thank you.
If I may, and it's completely up to the board, but the workers' compensation matter is not resolved by this matter, so it's still possible to discuss. But if the board wants to have that discussion prior to taking the discharge action, then we should hold off on doing the discharge action.
Well, thank you, County Council, but again, we had a request from a member, and I think we've agreed to honor that, and let's just take it all at once, yeah. So let's don't piecemeal it, and let's just do it all at once. Appreciate the comments, but we had a request, and let's honor that request.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah, go tell. Okay, so I got a motion on the floor. So I'm going to call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Thank you.
I want to move back to item 4 to get that one out of the way before we
Okay.
finish.
You are correct.
What's that?
You are correct.
Yeah.
I'm off my A game this morning. My apologies. Item 4, under Supervisor Pacheco, adopt resolution to recognize the Department of Public Health for receiving the 2024 California State Association of Counties Challenge Award for the Rural Mobile Health Program.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my pleasure today to recognize and congratulate the Department of Public Health in winning the 2024 CSAC Challenge Award for the Rural Mobile Health Program. Every year, California State Association of Counties Challenge Awards recognizes the most innovative programs developed by California counties. The Rural Mobile Health Program is a collaborative effort and provides essential medical and vision services via mobile units directly to agricultural workers and people living in Fresno County's rural areas at no cost. Here today to speak about this resolution is David Lucchini, Director of Department of Public Health, as well as Deputy Health Officer Dr. Trinidad Solis, and other partner staff and representatives. David, floor is yours.
Morning, board members. David Lucchini, Director of Fresno County Public Health Department. I want to thank the board for recognizing the Fresno County Department of Public Health today, and thank you Supervisor Pacheco for sponsoring this resolution. And also want to thank the board for the $6 million ARPA fund allocation to launch this rural mobile health program. This program was developed in response to critical health care access barriers identified in our past community health assessments. Our last 2 community health assessments showed that many rural residents and ag workers struggle to access health care due to transportation, cost, and provider shortages. This program also gave us the opportunity to utilize community partnerships to bring healthcare directly where it is needed most. This program has now been recognized with the California State Association of Counties Challenge Award. This honors, and Supervisor Pacheco, you talked about that, so I just want to say this is the first time public health departments won this award. Thank you for Supervisor Magson for bringing out the award, and Paul and Amina. And now I want to introduce one of our leads of this program, our Deputy Health Officer, Dr. Trinidad Solis.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. On behalf of the Fresno County Rural Mobile Health Program, we are honored to have received a CSAC Challenge Award. This state recognition is not only a celebration of the hard work of our public health department staff, but is also a testament of the dedication of so many of our local organizations who are also committed to improving the health of Fresno County's rural communities. And we have many of our local partners, medical and vision partners here with us, and also members of our community health worker network. As part of the Rural Mobile Health Program, our public health team collaborates with UCSF Fresno, St. Agnes Medical Center, and Tzu Chi Medical Foundation to deliver essential medical and vision services at no cost via mobile units directly to agricultural workers and people living in Fresno County's rural areas. Services provided include preventive care screenings, vaccinations, STD testing, eye exams, and more, ensuring that essential healthcare services reach Fresno County's underserved population. Another important component of the Rural Mobile Health Program involves Fresno County's Community Health Worker Network, which consists of partner community-based organizations and a federally qualified health center. I would like to acknowledge the CBO partners who are in attendance with us today and help us support the Rural Mobile Health with the Rural Mobile Health Program. These organizations include California Farm Worker Foundation, Binational of Central California, Centro Binacional para el Desarrollo Indígena Oaxaqueño, Cultiva la Salud, Exceptional Parents Unlimited and Easter Seals, FCHIP Fresno Hope Hub, Reading and Beyond, West Fresno Family Resource Center, Black Wellness and Prosperity Center, Centro La Familia Advocacy Services, and ARIA Community Health Center. These organizations assist community members during the Rural Mobile Health Program events by providing wraparound care coordination services. For example, if a patient does not have a primary care doctor, the community health workers serve as a bridge to local clinics and help the patient find a nearby medical home. Since the inception of the Rural Mobile Health Program in February 2023, over 10,000 patients have received essential medical services. More than 89,000 community members were reached through resources and health education provided by the community health workers. And lastly, I want to thank the residents of our rural communities. This award is also for them. We are grateful for their trust and the opportunity to meet their healthcare needs. Thank you again, Board of Supervisors, for your support and recognition.
Okay. Is any board members?
Just a quick comment. I had the pleasure of traveling to Sacramento to be there as the award was received. And again, there were many different counties that received different awards, but what I liked about this particular award that was received by the Public Health Department is it was really an out-of-the-box idea and actually putting up a rural mobile clinic to take healthcare services to people who didn't have the ability to come where we are here. So it was unique. It was something that impacted, I think, 80,000 people have used the service in the last few years. So it's definitely making an impact here in Fresno County. And I believe a lot of credit needs to go to both Supervisor Pacheco and Supervisor Mendez, because I think the two of you were approached by the farming groups saying something needs to be done, and you came up with this concept. So congratulations to the both of you.
Thank you, Supervisor. I'd also like to give credit to Deputy Director Joe Prado, who was instrumental. It's been a while now, but the workers of Fresno County were some of the first in the state to get the COVID shots. And again, to my colleague here to my left, it was all voluntary, nobody was forced, but if they wanted it, we took it to the people. And when they were triaging people of priority, we made workers of Fresno County who provided the food that we all eat every day, through the governor's effort, we got them moved up, developed a program that was later used throughout the state. And this program, through Joe Prado and Dr. Solis and the director, is an offshoot of what we did during COVID. And again, we're here to help the people that have a difficulty in coming to the big cities, and we take it directly to them. I'm very proud of the work you do, and this award is well deserving. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion for this resolution. Yeah.
Okay. And I got a second. I just want to say, you know, I actually went out to Terra Nova when you guys, you know, did your health clinic out there, and it was very impressive what you did and the amount of people that actually used it. And I also participated back when what Brian was talking about when we were doing vaccinations at Fresno Equipment. That day we had over 500 people come. It was very, very impressive. All volunteered. So with that, I got a motion and a second. All in favor, so going saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
If, do you mind if just quick comments from
Sure.
one of our partners? Appreciate it.
I'll be quick, thank you. My name is Dr. Kenny Bond. I'm the Assistant Dean at UCSF Fresno, an emergency medicine physician and the director of our mobile health program. I just want to take 5 seconds to thank the board and Fresno County Public Health for allowing us to participate in this over the last couple of years. We're a training program, so we train doctors to bring them to the Valley and to our region. So I really believe that this mobile health program is not only unique and helps improve the health of our community, but it's actually good for our economy and actually lowers healthcare costs, which is what we all want to do for a thriving economy. Bring healthcare, bring doctors, bring dollars into the Valley. I thank the board, I thank Fresno County for letting us participate in this. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other comment? Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor is going to say an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Go ahead and come up.
So you want to have you all kind of in the center there, you and Dr. Solis? Yeah. David, Joe, Dr. Solis. You guys can kind of be on the center a little bit. And we need to have a couple of the. Barbara, more coming. More coming.
Yeah, get some more over here.
Scoot in, guys. You're gonna have to do kneeling in front, maybe? Seriously, because there's no way. Don't go anywhere because we have a couple more pictures we need to take. Stay right there, Josh. You want to go next? All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You got Thanks, guys.
We now move to item 31, which is
31,
pulled. We
yes.
return to our consent items that were pulled from this morning. Item 31 under Internal Services, pulled by Supervisor Bredefield. Approve and authorize the chairman to execute an agreement with TF Elevator Corporation for elevator maintenance, inspection, and repair services.
Yes, I was just wondering on this item, can we list in the staff report all those who bid and what the bids were, as opposed to just stating in there that they were the lowest bid and so they got the award? I'd like to see who bid, how close the bids were. Is that possible? We can do that?
Yeah, as
in
long
our
as it
staff
doesn't
reports?
violate any RFP or processes, that would be possible.
Okay, yeah, that'd be helpful.
Okay.
That's the only issue for me.
Perfect.
Because I know-
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, got a motion to approve. Second. Is there any public comment on this item?
Good job, guys.
Hearing none. All in favor, is going to say an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
We now move to item 32, pulled by Supervisor Bredefield under Internal Services. Approve and authorize the chairman to execute the Fourth Amendment to Agreement Number A-24-084 with Puritan State and Local Incorporated.
Yes. So the question I would just had, I was looking at, they had $1 million increase in 2024. They want another $1 million increase in 2025. So the total is now 4.5 million. Yet for the first 3 years, 2020 to 2023, the total was 2.5. So now they're asking for increases of $1 million each year. And I'm just curious about the justification for that.
Thank you, Supervisor Bredefield. This, along with many of the other IT-related projects and processes, continue to increase with inflation like many of the others. Fortunately for us, this is the last year with this organization because we will be getting off this system, but it is necessary for us to maintain it for this final year. We will be shifting to another model after this.
Okay, and the purpose of shifting to the other model is?
The purpose for it's an archaic system. It's run on a COBOL system. Mainframe isn't even a term you often hear anymore, so we will be switching to a cloud-based system with the auditor, controller, and assessor's office.
Okay, will the cost be the same?
It will likely be more expensive because it'll be two separate new systems.
Okay. Make a motion to approve.
Is there any public comment on this item? Hearing none. All in favor, is going to say an aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
That concludes all our consent items, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We will return to our regular agenda under 4.1, under the Administrative Office, receive and provide direction on report out of ad hoc committee for capital projects regarding the Hall of Records.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Paul Nerlin, your CAO, and I'm going to have Stephen White, our Public Works and Planning Director, Brian Burton, Deputy Director, and Sam Buck come up. They're loading the PowerPoint up on the screen here in just a moment. While they are doing that, I'll just remind you that it was at your board's direction that I returned to your board with options of consideration for the future when it comes to the space that we are in now versus options that we may consider in the future for the board chambers, the Board of Supervisors offices, and the CAO space as well. Do we have the PowerPoint? Just wait a moment till we get the PowerPoint up here. So what we have in front of you was discussed with our ad hoc committee of Supervisor Pacheco and Supervisor Magsig. As we talk about options for the future, just want to mention a few things. Whatever we do, we want to maximize the opportunity. I've showed some of your board members a picture that strikes me. This is a picture of Philip Sanchez, a CAO in the 1960s in this very board chambers. It doesn't look very different. And as I say that, I'm reminded of the fact that whatever we do, generations in the future of board members and the public will see the results of what we do. So whatever we do, we want to maximize the opportunity. We've also approached this that the historic Hall of Records that we are in now is a piece of history downtown, and whatever we do, we want to make sure we invest and preserve this historic, beautiful building that we're in currently with the Hall of Records. Timing considerations. When we look at this, we'll talk about this as we go further. There are a number of capital projects, including a potential future courthouse that could take place in Courthouse Park. There's also considerations that could involve Board of Supervisors or CAO staff temporarily moving, depending on which option that we choose. So we'll talk about those as we go forward. Some of the things that we want to think about and consider here is one, public access. Parking, right now, that is certainly something that we are lacking. The utilities available at the site, public transit that can get the public to our facilities. Technology. We would want to have state-of-the-art technology in a new facility or in revisiting our current facility. Press briefing. We don't have a good location right now for a media relations room. And then ease of construction and of course, cost. So these are some of the things that are considerations as we go through this process. A reminder of what we have put aside in our budget. So currently, because of the way we budget, and that is budgeting conservatively and putting additional funds towards capital projects, you know that we've been able to build without borrowing, which has been something we've been happy to do. But we currently have $40.7 million put aside for whatever the future of the Board of Supervisors and the CEO would be. We put an additional $1 million aside with the idea that depending on what decision is made, if there was a decision to invest in what we now call the annex, but it's the recorder space right across from the elevators on this floor, but it could be used for whatever purpose relates to the future of this building. And we put aside $10.5 million to date for parking. You know, wherever that site is, we realize that we are shy of the parking that we need. So the options we're going to talk about today, and these are just options for discussion, is looking at a new building in Courthouse Park. We'll talk about what we call the Woodward Fountain location, a new building that would be right where the current courthouse is, a new building at L Street, which is a property the county owns, or a new building at our juvenile justice campus site, or we call our JJC. For history, when I came into this role, the board was considering renovating and remodeling the third floor of this building. And the estimated cost of that was about $30 million in today's dollars. I won't go through all the advantages and disadvantages of that, but I will share with you that the floor plan would have increased the capacity of our chambers from the current approximately 88 seats to closer to 188. So it would expand the size, it would change the look of the building. The Board of Supervisors offices, conference rooms, media room would be in what's now called the annex. But that was the option that was being considered in the past. When we talk about options to build, I'll just go through them very quickly here. One of them is a new building in Courthouse Park, and we're calling it the Woodward Fountain location simply because it impacts that historic fountain. But I'll note for everyone that location is, that fountain has actually been at multiple locations in Courthouse Park. You'll see based on where it is, it's about $40.7 million is an estimated cost from Public Works and Planning. There's a picture of just kind of what that would look like. When we talk about the advantages and disadvantages of this option, one, we could meet our space needs, have a much larger board chambers, build brand new, as opposed to the challenges of trying to renovate this building. We're not limited by structure. We can really do what your board decides. It maintains the Courthouse Park and downtown location, which we've historically been. It would provide additional space for the auditor and the assessor. This building has been called the Hall of Records, and there are needs that both the auditor and the assessor has that could truly make this building live up to its name as the Hall of Records. So it would give them additional space that they both need and have potential lower construction costs. The challenges, the obstacles, is it doesn't solve our parking problem. It takes limited green space in this historical park downtown, and frankly, because it's on this historic site, we need probably further vetting on some of the challenges that may be involved in building in Courthouse Park. Another option that's been discussed that relates to the future of Courthouse Park is our current courthouse site. So In the middle of our campus is the courthouse that is technically still owned by the county. In this model, the courthouse in the future would be demolished upon the building of a new courthouse by the state. And just to kind of put that in perspective, so you can see where that courthouse is now. And of course, we've got underground parking and tunnels that link up many things between our sheriff admin, our jail, and that building. But just as a reminder, the state currently, their plan is to build, if they were to proceed on the schedule they are now, a new courthouse on the site of our sheriff admin building and our old jail on that side of the street. And so those buildings would be removed, and that is where they would put it. The challenge with their schedule is even at their schedule, according to the state's information, the soonest that that building would be complete is January of 2032. So when we look at that option, what are the advantages and disadvantages? We're in a spot that it's an ideal location. It's in the center of Courthouse Park. It could potentially house the CAO board and the sheriff if we build it big enough. Again, the auditor, control, and assessor can expand if we could meet our space needs. The challenge is obvious. The new courthouse, absent delays or further delays, would not be completed until January 2032 at the earliest. So it would delay our move and our even beginning this project. Will the funding and the timeline remain or be delayed is an open question. The demolition of the courthouse would be expensive, but that is included in the cost. So that's about a $50 million project if we were to go that route, but it would be delayed into the 2030s. Another option that has been discussed is our L Street location. So L Street, as you may recall, is where the social services child welfare department used to be, and the county purchased that property. And if we were to build a new building and parking structure on this site, it's about $56 million. Just so you can understand where that is in relation to where we are today, it's in the yellow circle on the map. So you can see we're a couple blocks from where we sit today, about a block from the jail. So that is where, and we own that site today. Again, this is kind of an overview of what that would look like. It could be a 3-story building if it were to house the CAO, the board chambers, board staff, and CAO. Or it could be a 6-story building if we wanted to include additional staff, the sheriff, and we've talked about potential of county council as well. There's no design elements in here. This is just showing an image of what it could look like. So a 3-story building with a 5-level parking structure is about $56.3 million, whereas 6-story office on that same location would be about $129 million. Again, these are rough numbers. Advantages of this option: the construction does not displace any current staff. So, whatever we do, this is off-site. We're not moving anybody by building on this site. We own the property already. It's downtown, so we maintain the county's footprint downtown, and we do address both space and parking needs. So I think that's a consideration that we want to look at. What are the challenges? Space is limited on the site, requiring a multi-story building. It's a half block. It may not be quite as central as we've been used to as Courthouse Park, but it's only 2 blocks away, and we're demolishing a building that is there currently. But again, that's about $56 million for a 3-story building and a 5-story parking structure. Another option that was looked at, and this is very outside the box, but we're putting it up there, and that is again on our juvenile justice campus. And if we took a similar size building, we wouldn't have to build a parking structure because there is space to put parking in, about 400 stalls. So this is out off of 99, and this is the actual area that we'd be talking about. This is the same location that we are working on a future project with our Department of Agriculture, where they would also be nearby. So we'd be having 2 projects on the same site if we were to look at that. Advantages: construction, again, doesn't displace current staff. We're not limited by space. We don't have to build a parking structure. We've got plenty of space. It's county-owned. It's near another facility that we're building. The challenge, obstacle, it's not central to the city of Fresno, but it could be
central within the county of Fresno when it comes to access. There's limited food venues nearby, which could be a challenge for meetings and for the team that works there. And there are no current public transportation routes in that spot. I'm going to pause at this point, and I know that Supervisor Magsig and Supervisor Pacheco were part of the discussion as we looked at these sites. We've also got staff who can answer questions, so I'm going to pause to first look to them if they have any comments, and then answer questions that you may have.
Yeah, so appreciate Paul and his staff, and also Supervisor Pacheco's time. We've been looking at this for several years now, and I know for me, just as one member, I think whatever we do needs to come with parking, because downtown Fresno is underserved when it comes to parking, and the hundreds of employees that we have sometimes have to park many, many blocks away to be able to go to the different places of business where they work for the county. So I think it would be prudent, whatever we do, that parking is part of that plan. So for me, just as one supervisor, as I look more and more at the L Street location, I think there's a lot of merit there to build a new facility at that site. I think trying to renovate or do anything here at Courthouse Park, while it's historic here, just as I look at the cost, I think the costs are going to be very much prohibitive. But even at the L Street location, while I think we could do a 3-story building now with the money that we've set aside, I think something absolutely needs to be done for the sheriff as well, since, as you alluded to, the courts are looking to locate their new courthouse on top of the existing sheriff headquarters. But again, that's a $120, $130 million project, and we don't have enough money for that. So we would need to figure out a way to come up with another $70 or $80 million to make that all work out. One thing I'm very cognizant of right now is just fiscal challenges that the state's facing, fiscal challenges that cities and even our county are facing too. And so I think as we figure out on a direction that we're going to take, we have to recognize that this is something that is going to be difficult to do in the next year or two. This is something I think that is going to be off into the future. But I'm one who thinks it's going to be prudent for us to continue to save and set money aside in our budget to potentially make the L Street project work. But I'm just one supervisor, and I recognize that some of my other colleagues may have a difference of opinion, and I completely appreciate that.
And being the other half of that committee, we were put on that committee because we have differing viewpoints. And while we can see each other's viewpoints, there are differences. I have been one that I wanted to preserve this building. I wanted to stay in this building and remodel this building. I realize it is a very, very old structure. Irregardless of what we do, whether we stay or whether we move, we still have to put money into this building. I believe that the district attorney's office across the street is proof that we can remodel an old building and make it a state-of-the-art, modern building because we've done it. It's never cheap. We always look back in time and we have these historic buildings that we seem to abandon. The courthouse is one of them. Many people wish that the courthouse was still in existence, and I want to stay here. I can see the merits of L Street, but again, it's 4 walls and a roof to me, and it's in the middle of nowhere. If we could put one of the maps back up, Paul, that shows the overview of the whole campus here, would be helpful. As you can see from the diagram, this is the only green space in the center of Fresno. So for me personally, I hate taking out any of the green space to put in a new building. And it would be easy to just put a building right next to this building, but in doing that, we're going to knock out half of our park area. And as we know from ag, and you can look at Los Angeles, the minute you overlay something with asphalt, you will never get it back. So for me, I want to preserve the green space downtown. What has come to our attention in the recent few weeks is I believe, as we have been for the last number of years, and granted, we have new members of the board, so we'll have a new way of thinking, but I believe we need to put others before us. And in doing that, I think our next priority should be building a new structure for the sheriff's department. I believe that structure could be built right next to the brand-new jail in that parking lot that's there. That provides a lot of solutions for us. It provides the access to all of the jails. If in fact the court is going to build where the old sheriff's department is, it would be real easy to tunnel underground and have all the existing tunnels that exist today. I think we need to strongly look at that. I think the sheriff should come first. And then once the courthouse is relocated to the sheriff, then I believe our new building should be exactly where the courthouse is, because that is an eyesore. It's not seismic sound. So that I could justify knocking down and putting our new structure right in the center of campus. But that would require patience and time, and don't know what the will of the board is. Again, I am open to taking millions of dollars to remodel this building, to make it larger, more user-friendly. What Supervisor Butterfield has learned, we call these things Fresno County functional. We do not have the main technology of everybody, but if we were to invest some money, we can bring this technology up to standard, but it will be millions of dollars. But we stay here. And again, we put the needs of others before our own. I personally believe in doing that. Once we resolve, hopefully, the 2015 contract today, there will be a lot less people attending our meetings, and these facilities are adequate for the majority of the year. And if we do remodel, which was on one of our previous pages, and look at that and build the new structure here, we have a new board chambers, we have modern offices, and we maintain the CAO in the same building, which would accomplish all the goals. So for me, that is a Band-Aid. It is a costly Band-Aid, but it's an option. And again, I can appreciate Supervisor Magsig. It would be a lot simpler just to go down the street, build a new building, vacate this, and over time, let it deteriorate to whatever it may be. But I think it's historic in nature. I think the people like coming here. It's centrally located. I do not like going to the JJC campus. It is way too far out there. It's adequate for the ag, because the ag is used to traveling. They go things. But for the people of Fresno and the county, I believe it should be centrally located somewhere in Fresno. And if you see from the diagram, there are lots in very close proximity to us that I have floated the idea that I would like to build a parking structure on. And again, that will achieve a lot of things. It will ease parking for people coming downtown. It will help our sheriff's deputies and our correctional officers, that they will have parking right across the street from where they work. And again, would solve a lot of issues, but we have to take a back seat in order to achieve these goals. Now, if it's the will of the board that they want to move forward and build a building and be modernized, then so be it. But I am in favor of putting the sheriff and law enforcement and the safety of the county in front of us, being patient, let the court do their thing, and then we're next. And again, that's why Supervisor Magsig were on the committees, to give two opposing views and let the will of the board and the people take their course. Anything else, Supervisor Magsig, or? No. I think that's pretty fair.
Put it well.
And that's how we come today. So we did not reach any conclusion. We do not have a recommendation for the board. We need to see what our new colleagues have for their thoughts in order to give our CAO direction. But we did say we'd be back in 30 days, and here we are. And it is more complicated than it appears, which is why we were ready to move forward 2 years ago, and the courts convoluted the whole system when they said they want a new courthouse. They can't be in the existing one because of seismic reasons, and they want to take the sheriff's structure to do it, which we're okay with that because it's old. But again, it puts us in the second position and not the first. So here we sit today.
Okay. Supervisor Butterfield.
Well, first of all, I want to commend the three of you and the prior members who set aside $50 million. I mean, I think that was very prudent and wise, and so I appreciate that. We would probably be having a bit of a different discussion if there was no money set aside, and you've done that. So I greatly appreciate that and acknowledge that. Also appreciate the work of bringing this presentation here. I think there are 4 options to consider. I, too, when I look at these, support more of the L Street site. I think that's the one that makes most sense. I don't think we need to wait. The money is there, and I think we should move forward. And you're right, our priority is about our sheriffs, but our priority ought to be the people who come to this building. And since I've been here, it's been overfilled every time. People don't have seats. They're uncomfortable. They have to be at the side. We have many security issues with this building, as you're well aware of. I think Supervisor Magzig has talked about all of the electrical and other issues that clearly exist for this building. And so I think, frankly, this has been long overdue, probably for 3 or 4 decades. If you look at supervisor chambers throughout the state, they have facilities that are very pleasing for people who come in. They're large. People are able to be seated, and there aren't the security issues that we face. So I think this is long overdue. I don't think we should be waiting. You wisely set aside money that we should be utilizing, and I think we should make a decision. Do we do as Supervisor Pacheco, reasonable to stay here and remodel, or do we pursue a new building? And I think we need to be pursuing a new building. I lean towards the L Street site. I don't like taking out trees and things of that when we're so limited with that. In terms of doing the sheriff's facility or any other facilities that we need, there is bonding capacity. The City Hall 30 years ago, they built that with bonding capacity. With the federal courthouse, I believe it was the same thing. Selland Arena, Soroyan Theater, Chick-Chancey Park, all set aside with bonding dollars. If we wait to always have, the money in the bank, you'd never get anything done. That's why I say I applaud you for having the money set aside and having done that. But I think if there's needs, as a governmental agency, we ought to be looking at providing bonding and build the facilities that we need. And so I think we ought to be looking at doing all of it, not necessarily waiting until, we have the money set aside. If that's the case, 30 years from now, we'll be talking about building these buildings, just like for 30, 40 years, we've been talking about this building. So my interest is moving forward and actually getting construction going, picking a site, picking a decision, whether it's a new building or remodeling, and moving forward, not waiting. I don't believe we should be waiting for the state. We can't count on the state to make decisions. That's obvious. So I don't think waiting for the courthouse to be torn down makes any sense. The juvenile justice, I agree with you, doesn't make any sense. So it leaves it, outside this building or the L Street or remodeling. And for me, I think the L Street makes sense. We have $50 million. We can address the parking issues. We can build a beautiful building. And I think we can discuss whether we should be building a 3-story, which we can afford right now, or a 6-story where we can afford and bond for the additional space that we need. I am open to looking at all of that and looking what that would mean in terms of our budget. And I think we ought to be thinking big, making sure that we have facilities for people who come here and are welcome here and have seats and don't have to be outside watching on a screen. So I'm ready to move forward, and I think L Street makes most sense, and that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Supervisor Chavez.
Thank you, Chair Mendez. I vote to eminent domain the city hall of Fresno and kick them out. I'd like to get my old office back. All kidding aside, I do want to thank the committee for their work. I know that you guys went through a lot of different versions, and I appreciate the thoroughness of everything that got pitched today. I do have some questions for our CEO. The 56 million for the L Street construction, does that factor in the demolition cost as well for the existing building, CEO?
Yes, it does.
That was part of the budget total, correct?
Correct.
Okay. With regards to the parking, I know that the city of Fresno is currently in the process of building additional parking structures in the downtown area. There's possibly an opportunity to maybe leverage some of those resources, and not sure what our folks have designated what the number of spots would be that we could use. But when you come here on the weekends, you know that it's not all that filled. That could be an opportunity to, maybe generate some revenue out of that parking on the weekends too, I think. Because when you look at parking structures, everybody knows that if they don't have a revenue generating stream, they're kind of a money pit. I do like the L Street location, but Supervisor Pacheco brought up a really good point, and I want to hone in on that. So say the board decides to move our facility to another location, what actually happens to this building here? And how much would we spend on a yearly basis for the maintenance just to keep the bare, operating costs?
So it depends what we do, but I know that the assessor and the auditor controller both have space needs now. They operate offices in what's really our basement. The assessor has spoken about records, especially historical records that he has currently that he is unable to display because of storage and space needs. And the space we're in now, may be something that is used for larger gatherings, but I don't have that number of exactly what that would look like to see. But
And then with regards to the L Street estimate that was put together, what would be the capacity? Because I know that there were some numbers thrown out. Right now we have 88 spots available for folks. As you can see, it's very crowded. Even the remodel here that we factored in, we would increase that by 188. Does that utilize the facility next door, that big empty room, or what was the configuration? Maybe you could
No.
put that slide back up of the remodel of our current building.
Yeah.
I think just get a visual, trying to understand this a little.
Right there.
we go.
Right there.
Oops. So there was a number of options discussed. This is one of them. And so what this really does is it takes your offices that are there currently. So imagine this wall, and we turn this whole chamber around where you're now the dais is basically along the wall of where your offices are now. You do have some space for conference room or storage behind, and a large conference room in the corner. But that is, your office is then moved to what is where the recorder used to be, right across from the elevators. There's also a media room, which is something we sorely lack now. And another conference space. Even for, I know your board now, you don't have a accessible big conference room for meetings, and that would provide for that.
Okay. Supervisor Magzik last time brought up a good point, and sometimes I'm cursed with the memory of an elephant. He did mention that there was water damage to the top of the parking structure next door. So with this remodel, we would still have to factor in, or does this remodel factor in the
Yeah, so thank you. I didn't talk about that at all, but separate from all of these efforts, we are working on a project where we put forward $6 million in this budget. We're going to have to put another 6 or 7 next year, and that is simply maintaining the underground parking structure as we have it today. So take some of that water damage. It doesn't rebuild anything, it just maintains it. And that is not included in this, but it has been, the first half of it is included in this budget, but I need another 6 or 7 next year to finish that project.
You factor that into the couple of budget years, I'm guessing, because that repair needs to happen, right?
It's a process now. It's in the design phase right now.
And then last question, I know as we're looking at the blueprint of downtown, was there any consideration from the committee on possible other buildings? For example, the abandoned Club One building across the street. Was that factored in? I mean, I don't know what the dollar amount would be, but I think the COG meets up there, second floor for our CAO. I guess my question is, would that be an option? And if there's will on the board to explore that, but I believe they have the parking issue underground as well.
I
too,
can
right?
address
Yeah,
that.
they have
Yeah.
300
Um,
stalls.
In the last 2 weeks, that has become an option for us. The owner has approached us and said they would be willing to work with us. In addition, it is my understanding, although we've had no contact with them, but the new owner of the hotel that is now vacant is also looking to exit that facility as well. And again, they have, all the parking is located underground there. It would solve a lot of issues. It just became available within the last 2 weeks. However, it would involve more cost because we would have to demo those buildings as well.
Okay.
But that is an option, but it just came
Comes
available.
with 300 parking stalls.
Yeah.
300 parking stalls are included in that price tag. I mean, so I guess I'll ask the question to my colleagues, is there any desire to explore that, or do we want to stick with what we currently have developed? I'd like to kind of hear my colleagues' point of view on that.
Yeah, I would be interested in getting, finding out more about that. I mean, I think we do need to get some direction from this board and take off some of the, are we building new, are we remodeling? I want to get that clarified. I think it's important for you as you move forward with direction from the board that's understood. For me, and I don't know, I heard Supervisor Maggs supports the L site. I support the L site. You support the L site, sir?
I do. I support the L Street. I want to be thoughtful, and I want to make sure we don't end up with additional costs with
Right.
even the maintenance of this, or if there's a better option with the building that we just described. I mean, I'm willing to look at that too.
Yeah, so
Trying to
I
get that.
think, if we can proceed moving with the L, and we haven't heard from the chairman yet, but we move forward with the L site and find out about this other site with Club One. What are the numbers, what's available, that kind of thing. And also, again, for me, I want to just continue to put it out there that I know that I think the board has been averse to bonding, but I'm not. And I've seen it be very successful and move forward with buildings that needed to be built from the 1960s up till now. And if there are needs with the sheriff, I think we can do both. And so that would be my interest.
Okay.
Okay, I think everybody's got a chance to speak about this. I would put L Street down a little lower. My opinion is pretty much like Supervisor Pacheco's. I do have one question about the third floor. Now, can you remodel the third floor without doing anything on the second and first and basement?
You can remodel the third floor, but we'll have to be very cautious about how we get materials up in here. We'll fly them through windows and through the roof. And if you remodel this floor, everyone on the third floor has to move out.
Well, of course, yeah.
And then we just gut it, and then we start putting the puzzle back together. This is an old building, and there's things that come out of the walls all the time. It can be done. That's where we
Yeah.
give you the options. It'll be expensive. It'll be a design build and/or design bid build process itself, but this is an option. It's just,
Right.
if that's the direction we need to mature the numbers, drill down even further. It's gonna be new mechanical, new plumbing, new electrical, new everything. Elevators, I think they were just repurposed here a few years ago, but it doesn't, Supervisor Magic's comment, it doesn't solve the parking problem.
No,
There is some solutions, if we could work with the city of Fresno, on changing the configuration of the parking, little small parking lot out front. Maybe get another 18 stalls out there. Take that over, that's part of a Tulare Street. I think we could do that with quick claims. But there's options. This could be a viable option if you want to make it. And the CEO's office has already been remodeled for the most part. So we'd build this area and what they call the annex area and just rebuild everything, starting from the ground up.
Yeah.
And the caution is you're going to be working over the top of somebody's offices, And certain days you may not be able to work there, but we can work after hours and work it all through.
Right, because of the obvious noise, especially if you're trying to work on the second floor. I just asked a theoretical question. You actually answered it very
You can.
well. I'm still talking.
Just to build on what you said, because we need new plumbing, electrical, and mechanical, you would have to move people out because you would have to literally replace systems because there's no way to, the power needs that we would need up here by expanding. I think, Gary, you just recognized trying to move offices, you have to literally bring new power in. That's something that you can't just build off of. You got to replace whole systems, correct?
So you replace all the systems to the third floor, first floor, and second floor, but you stay with the power system and all the systems you have now, bathrooms would all function. You would run separate systems in to do that, and then there'd be a switchover. The tricky part is when you're on the third floor doing the demo, you can do that. Whereas Mitchell will have to go out, you're not gonna go down the elevators. You'll kill the elevators. You'll fly them out the windows, one of the windows here. And remember, there's another companion project that we're working on with some ARPA dollars, which is a new central plant for this compound here to offset what the central plant is that services the court. So that'll be a companion. We would run parallel systems to make it all work, and then it'll be a day, week, that there would have to be some moving of other people to be able to make the conversion back over.
Okay, well, that was just a theoretical question. I mean, we can talk, but I think I was more in what Supervisor Pacheco was saying as a temporary deal in the meantime until we could actually do what he wanted to do, which is build on the courthouse, where the courthouse is today. And that we probably wouldn't get in there at the earliest, would be 10 years from now.
The problem with the courthouse, it's a box on top of a box. So if you've been in a parking structure, there's a 2-floor parking structure. We have the A deck, but B deck beneath is for the judges and the courts and the like. So you're sharing people who work in this office, sheriff's office. They have the jail tunnel coming across, all the logistics we have to work out. But just to demo that parking or demo the courthouse itself, you're gonna use some specialized equipment and take it apart piece by piece by piece. It's a purpose-built building. We've looked at and given numbers to the CAO. What would it take to remodel that structure? Yeah. Again, it's not seismically retrofit. Supervisor Pacheco, to your comments regarding the RAL building, that was seismically retrofit, and it was a challenge, but it was fun. Yeah. We got it done. This building, you could do the same on. Building over that building, you have to disassemble and then go back in and build all the foundations back up. And like, it's gonna be
You
very,
have to
very
start from
expensive.
scratch again.
Correct.
Knock it down, start from scratch. But I do think we need to do something with the sheriff's headquarters, that building there, and do something over where the parking lot is next to the jail.
If so, Director, we can work up some numbers for the CAO.
Right. I would rank Al Street as third. I'm the only one here, I like American Avenue because it's a clean site and it's easy to build on. And it's closer for some of the rural people to come here.
And that would be why we haven't done anything, because we have 5 different viewpoints. Yeah. And not one of them is wrong, it's just different viewpoints. And again, I think if you want an immediate need, obviously L Street is the solution. If you want a longer-term solution, and again, maybe Supervisor Mendez and I, being from the farming background, we're a little more adverse to debt. We like to live within our means because we like to sleep at night and don't want to worry about how we're going to pay the bills, and we have enough debt on our own life. I don't want to incur more for the taxpayers of this county. However, you are absolutely right. We do have the capacity to bond. I just think, not lost in all of this, we need to take care of the sheriff. The sheriff is the first domino of the entire court system that we have to address, and we should address the sheriff's new office concurrently with what we want to meet our needs here with. And if the will of the board is to go into debt, which we have not done for over 10 years, and we're still, every budget cycle, which we'll go through here in a few more months, we have utter under our breath the debt that our predecessors have incurred for us that we all now have to pay. And I have a little reluctant to do that for whoever follows us, because we all know we're not here forever. And any debt we incur, people beyond our years are going to be paying on that debt. Our budget is very tight, and it's going to get a lot tighter if we have to add a debt payment on top of that. So, but again, it's whatever the will of the board is. If you want immediate need, then it looks like L Street's going to be your ticket. But maybe if you could just wait 2 more weeks, we can meet with the people across the street and see how serious that option is or what that would entail. I don't know.
I think it's a good idea, Supervisor Pacheco. I think we should explore that. Supervisor Bradford, are you open to exploring that option and
of
coming
course.
back to what that looks like?
Yes.
And if that, for whatever reason, I like L Street. I think whatever we do, I think we should keep our facilities in downtown Fresno. It's accessible to public transportation. Folks come here. So I think that would be at least my preference as a supervisor.
And to be clear, currently I think we have about $40 or $50 million in pension and lease revenue bond payments that we make annually. $600 million in pension obligation bonds that were issued and then refinanced last time in 2004. And the lease revenue bonds, I think, were done for the JJC, and combined right now, $40 to $50 million a year. And when the pension obligation bonds are fully paid off in 2033 or 2034, it'll be a $1.2 billion expense for the county. So we do have bonds. I'm open to look at that. I just haven't been enamored with how bonds have been used in the past.
Yeah, and I share your sentiments about it, but, as government, there are needs, like you mentioned about the sheriffs, and I don't see us moving forward with a new building means that we ignore the sheriff. I don't think we have to ignore the sheriff or the needs of the sheriff. I know there's other things related to the a building that's needed for out where the coroner is as well. I mean, I think there's a lot of needs throughout the county, and we need to address that. And sometimes that means borrowing money to meet the needs, because it always comes down to doing what we need to do for our constituents. And you're exactly right about the needs for the sheriff. So I think we can do both and move forward. But so I guess in a couple of weeks, is that reasonable to meet with the Club One folks or the people who own the hotel and/or who own the hotel and come back to the board?
Well, I think come back when you actually have something. Yeah.
Yeah, so hearing what everybody says and what I think the consensus
Supervisor Mendez or
is.
Mexican, I can set that meeting up.
Yeah,
And-
whatever works.
And that may be a closed session, real property discussion.
Yeah.
So we can do that. We can come back in closed session to discuss that item. At the same time, we can refine some of the questions that everyone has brought up when it comes to L Street, but also to the needs of the sheriff, because we need to refine that and come back to share what do those options look like, so we can do both of those at the same time.
And then I would like to know, what is the will of the board about a parking structure for the correctional officers and everyone that works in the jail? Do you have any,
I think that's the most, actually,
do you have any appetite for that we can
Yeah.
aggressively pursue a parking structure that will help all the people that come into this meeting currently, will help our employees as they go into work?
Yes.
And we could come back and tell you what we have to do to make that happen. Would you be interested in
Yes,
that?
absolutely. I'm interested in addressing the needs that we have, not ignoring them.
Okay.
Let's address them.
all righty, so we will continue
So
this
we'll come back.
discussion.
Yeah.
in the-
Perfect.
All right.
And again, appreciate the work that both of you guys are doing with the CEO.
This has actually been going on for a long time, because me and Pacheco were working on this 5 years ago already.
Yeah. And again, I really commend you for setting aside $50 million. It's fantastic.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I would be agreeable to that. If we buy the casino, maybe they can leave some slot machines and make some money.
We now move to item number 5.
Yes.
Under Social Services, sitting as the Mod C Covering Board, receive and discuss the Fresno County Mod C Quarterly Report.
Yes, staff report.
Good morning, board members. Sonia Bouguet, Department Director of Social Services, and with me is Kim Smith, our
Can't hear.
and with me is Kim Smith, our Deputy over Child Welfare, and Rita Bohanian, one of our division chiefs, who is actually one of our administrators over Mod C. So want to set a little bit of a context because we have been on a 2.5-year journey to get licensed and approved for a transitional shelter, which we refer to as Mod C, given that it was set up in a modular building on our UMC campus. And also want to give you a little bit of a context of the difference between our child welfare today versus 2.5 years ago. So 2.5 years ago, our child welfare population was about 3,300 kids. Today, those are the kids that we are engaged with and manage. Today, we're talking about working with about 2,000 kids, or just under. And 2.5 years ago, we had about 2,300 kids in out-of-care placement. Today, that number is under 1,500. That said, Mod C is still a necessary transitional shelter when we struggle with kids who are either need placement and we cannot find placement, or kids who are newly removed and we cannot find placement within 24 hours. So we're talking about a facility that's now licensed. It would be a 9-day residential transitional care shelter facility for our dependent youth aged 12 to 17. Our report, so as we're licensed, we're required to give your board a quarterly report we have a requirement to cover 3 different things. In our total budget, which is item 3, any policies and procedures that we pass, and then any contacts that we report to state licensing. So I'm going to go briefly over that. That was an attachment in your board item. You're getting a hard copy in front of it that was attached to your board item. We're going to review it quickly and then give you an opportunity to ask any questions. This will be a quarterly report going forward. I do want to share with you that over the past couple of years, our engagement with youth that end up in Mod C has increased significantly, and our success rate in finding permanent placement for those youth have increased. So overall, year over year, we have just about a 50% decrease in need. That said, while that is an excellent success story, we still not had a single month that we haven't needed our shelter. So really appreciate both your support in applying for the shelter, appreciate your support in becoming a governing board. I think this was a necessary step in a continuum of care that we do. So asking your board to also, as part of this item, approve a movement of our license to a new location that you approved back in September to Heritage Center is part of these action items. So with that, I'm just going to give you a couple of highlights from the attachment A. So one is that we had one of the requirements is for your board to approve our policy and procedure guides. We have approved 4 policies and procedures. They were attached. They follow our Chapter 12 operating standards and follow our county meet and confer processes, but they are part of your attachments for review and approval. Second item is that we need to give you any contacts with law enforcement during a particular quarter. So during last quarter, we had 47 incidences where we had contact with law enforcement. 32 of those were really reporting our unauthorized absences. We have a great relationship with our sheriff's office and with actually really all law enforcement agencies. And while the number seems high, it is over 3 months, and it does not necessarily involve every youth that are there. But these are safety measures that we engage in. We also have to report to the state licensing any overstays. So we're licensed for 9 days. During that period, we had 28 youth enter our shelter, and we had 2 overstays. Overstays is really part of just our operations. If we cannot find placement for youth within 9 days, we will have overstays. We have not received any penalties or any challenges from CDSS. We engage with them on a regular basis when we have a hard time finding youth. Part of the reason why our shelter is necessary is all of our providers have an ability to reject our youth from placement. We do not. So once the kids are with us, they're with us. So given the number of overstays in previous years, this was certainly not a significant number, but it is one of the items that we need to report to you. And with that, that concludes my presentation, and we're available for any questions.
Any comment from the board?
Go
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, in reading through this, well done on a lot of things. Well done regarding med management, not an easy thing to do. The other thing, let me find what else. Yeah, under no circumstances will facility staff prohibit a youth from leaving the facility by blocking them. Yep, that's the way to do. You notify the youth's parents. Do you do that immediately if they leave?
Yes, we notify, so our youth are represented with their minors' attorneys, so we notify their attorneys and any person connected to the youth, including their family, if they're known and available.
Okay, and then the one final thing is, you mentioned training on page 6 of 6, and it says all staff assigned to the TRSCF shall complete the attached training plan within 30 days of assignment. I didn't see the training plan. Was it in here?
Can one of you speak to a training plan?
The training plan should be in an attachment in the binder that you received,
Yeah, I did.
We can add.
and we can add it and provide it to
Okay,
you later.
yeah, I
Yes.
didn't see the training plan in my report.
The training plan is a 24 prior to being able to begin working at MOD, so you have to have an initial 8 hours of training before you can work on your own. You have to have 24 hours of training, and it's a robust training plan that includes shadowing and being able to be hands-on and being able to work through the process.
Okay, thank you.
Also in our program statement, which was provided in the binder.
Okay.
The training plan is also in our program statement, which was provided in the binder as well.
Okay, again, I don't see a training plan in here, but, okay.
We'll provide it.
We'll attach it. So one thing that was unusual, we staff our shelter with our social work aides, social workers, social work supervisor, who's a program administrator, along with the manager is on site only occasionally. The staff that are normally hired for these positions are usually not in presence of kids 24/7. So this has been a very new operation for us. Turns out we're better at it than our average providers out there, to be perfectly honest. But what it included for our staff is really additional training required of how to run a 24/7 facility, which has not been a normal process for us. But we will get you a training plan.
What kind
it
of
looks like.
availability do these kids have for their mental health needs in terms of staff?
So our staff, we're required to provide a full assessment within 24 hours. We have several agreements with through our Department of Behavioral Health, but in addition to that, we actually have on contract an LCSW. So while kids are immediately, we do kind of an entry basic health and mental health assessment. Most of our kids, 80%, are already our existing kids. So they have existing providers. So we are either re-engaging them with existing providers or using our LCSW or anybody kind of on call to address some of the more immediate needs. Individual services to each kid is probably where we now do the best work, because every kid entering, not every kid needs mental health, but
Right.
there's a variety of challenges and it's not a set thing for every kid. So part of our approach is figuring out in these 9 days what's necessary when it comes to not just kind of basic needs, but also needs to set them up in such a way that we can find a better long-term placement.
Okay, and so you have licensed clinicians?
Yes.
LCSWs that are?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other board members have questions?
So I do want to just take another minute of your time. What I failed to mention in the beginning, I really am genuinely incredibly proud of the DSS team who has worked on this effort for past 2.5 years. Part of the administrative effort with the state was incredible, including county council staff who has walked with us along the way. Thank you, Libby. But the team that really has been behind the success is Rita here, a couple of our supervisors, Marshonda Harding, who's been a supervisor since our shelter started, and Jenya Taylor, who's sitting in the back, and a few others. There's too many staff to mention, but really on a daily basis. Part of our success with the state was really the administrative process, but bigger deal is the daily effort the staff go through to really engage and serve kids. So I just genuinely want to thank our social workers, social work supervisors, and our manager team that has operated the shelter.
Supervisor, Chairman Mendez, just wanted to thank our staff for meeting with me. They did give me an overview and also share with me the forms that we have to sign now as new board members. Sonia, the data that you had, I believe you went through how many calls for service or how many law enforcement contacts our kids had with folks. What was the number?
So we had 47 calls to law enforcement. That involved 9 of our kids. So we had 28 kids over 3 months. We had 47 law enforcement contacts and related to 9 kids. Though I will tell you, even that doesn't tell a full story because 1 kid is associated with 22 of those calls, right? So the data really varies. We had kids that had absolutely no law enforcement contact, and then we had 1 that really was just nearly half of it. So that's the
And that's
data
what I
that
really
we have.
wanted to get at. I mean, we have, this is probably one of the most challenging kids that we can have at the center. I know that. I shared my story with you in previous experiences. I just want to make sure that our staff is going to be supported and has those same access to resources to try to address the needs of those kids at the new location. So that will be happening, right? All the support, they'll still have that.
It will. So the same LCSW contract that we have that's available to our kids, we actually utilize with our staff as well, because some of these situations that happen are challenging, and having somebody available to debrief with staff and actually then figure out how can we do better next time. So staff supports are as important in this effort as are really supporting our kids. The other piece of it is I really did appreciate that last time in our negotiations, we actually are providing a differential for staff that are working in Mod C. In our new location, we actually utilize our existing team because they are now 2 years more experienced than we were when we were setting this up first time around to actually address both better space. The capacity of the shelter would not change. It will still be 6 rooms, but we will have better staff space and better individual provider space for our kids. So our new location will have a little bit more square footage and ability to actually provide some additional supports to both.
And this will be the last, when do you actually move to the new location?
Construction is set to conclude by September, I believe, so then we'd have a few months for any inspections. So December of '25, it would be our anticipated board.
And end of year
Yes.
on there. Okay, all right. That one of the members of the Foster Youth Oversight Committee brought up the conversation. We might discuss it next, for our next meeting on there. I'd love to kind of tour the new site too out there and just kind of see what our kids are dealing with. But thank you for the work that you guys have been doing. Kim too, thank you.
Okay, is there any public comment on this item? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board.
Do you want us to take a couple of separate actions, or do you want us to do all 3 in one?
As long as it's clear that you're approving all of staff's recommended action, that would be adequate.
Then I will move for staff's recommended action on all 3 items as listed in our report.
Okay, I got a second. All in favor, so I say an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carried.
Thank you.
We now move to item number 6, Public Works and Planning. Consider and approve petition for cancellation of agricultural land conservation contract numbers 8116 and 8119 filed by Robert and Cynthia Kudo.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Alexander Pretzer with the Department of Public Works and Planning. This item comes to your board with a recommendation for approval based on staff's ability to make all 5 of the required findings as detailed in the staff report. I have nothing further to add regarding this item unless you have any questions.
Thank you. I'm going to hand it over to Supervisor.
Mr. Chairman, this item is in my district. As stated by staff, all findings were made. This is part of the growth of Kerman. It's orderly growth, and after public comment, I will make a motion to move this item forward.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I would move this item forward and accept all of staff's recommendations.
Okay. They got a second? All in favor is going to say an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carried.
We now move to item number 7, under Public Works and Planning. Determine that recommended action is exempt from California environmental quality and direct staff to file a notice of exemption with Fresno County Clerk's Office.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, David Randall with Public Works and Planning Department. This item comes to your board based on unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission. When they heard this item at their October 24th meeting, there was no testimony or written comments in opposition. That concludes my presentation unless you have any questions.
Okay. Turn it over to Supervisor Magsick.
Now, this is in my district, and I know that there are a few neighbors who are impacted, and this ordinance modification will assist them with some of their fences, heights, setbacks, all that kind of stuff. And so it's specific to Sunnyside Avenue, but it's in my district, and I'm fully supported and prepared to support staff's recommendation as well as the Planning Commission's recommendation on this when the time comes.
Okay, is there any public comment on this item?
Two.
On item 7.
Quick question pertaining to changes that are now being made. Who would we contact with regards to helping to interpret this for our properties on that Sunnyside corridor? Would that be you?
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to contact my office if you like. The modifications, have you seen the language that's in the ordinance
Yes.
amendment? Okay.
Yeah.
Feel free to reach out to my office.
I'm a similar property that's on a corner on there, which now many use that Sunnyside as a raceway. And so some of the language there, I appreciate the ability to block some of that off. I wish it was higher than 7 feet. But that's why I'm just wondering, like, in an effort to continue to block that, can we contact you or your office in terms of interpreting that as for setbacks? And
You're welcome to reach out to my office. Technically, the planning department is the one that has kind of the final say about setbacks, but you're more than welcome to reach out to my office, and I'm happy to work with you as we move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Gee, I don't know if I should speak. I think we're leading in a good direction. I am representing my husband, William Stonehouse, and also Angie Paul. They were the two that filed the amendment to text. I kind of wanted just to give you a little bit of information about the area, a little bit about the history and how it's changed. The homes on Sunnyside area were originally built in the 1970s and 80s. And many of the current homeowners from that time period are still residing there. The lots are a minimum of 2 acres and go up, I think, to over 5 acres. And the area was known for its pecan orchards. This area was then later renamed the Dry Creek Preserve of Fresno County. The property was zoned for agriculture in the 70s and later rezoned for rural residential by the County of Fresno. And many of the residents today still have chickens and horses and goats and peacocks, and even some llamas are there. The city of Clovis will soon annex the Dry Creek Preserve, and the zoning on these properties and all the neighboring land, of course, will again change. The character of the area has changed quite drastically during the past decade, and we are now in the adopted sphere of influence for the city of Clovis. And again, what was once a very rural area will soon become very urban. The traffic and noise has become almost nonstop due to the growth to the north and the travel patterns going to 168 and the city of Clovis is to our south. Sunnyside is a minor collector street and with about 2 12-foot lanes. There's no traffic or stop signs between Shepherd and Nees, and a lot of that traffic is a bit unregulated. The latest study, which was done quite some time ago, identified that the traffic speed can be as much as 70 miles per hour. And right now, we have approximately 10,000 vehicles traveling in that street in a 7-day time period. Then, of course, we're going to have an additional homes being built to the north of us off of Shepherd and Sunnyside. We have 85 additional homes going to our east. And so this is all going to increase the traffic. It's going to increase and become a major hazardous safety issue. I mean, we have had several accidents, both reported and unreported, and lots of near misses and crossing of the double yellow lines. And of course, I could go into details about that. Again, what I would like to just say is that we are part of the Dry Creek Master Plan, which was submitted to the city of Clovis and allows for us to have walls above and opaque hedges.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I just would appreciate your consideration And thank you for your time.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the board.
And since this is in my district, I'll move for staff's recommendation, which is also in alignment with what the Planning Commission approved for items 1, 2, and 3 in the staff report.
Okay, you got a second? All in favor is going to say an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carried.
We now move to item number 8, under Board of Supervisor Committee Reports and Comments.
That's good. Did you want to start, or? Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to recognize that we had Support Blue Run this weekend, 3,800 runners approximately, and it was a great event. It was their 10th anniversary. I've participated in, I believe, 8 or 9 of them already. And again, just want to reiterate how much we support our law enforcement, our sheriff, our police, all law enforcement. Sheriff Zanoni was there, Police Chief Mindy Castro was there, amongst many other people, and we will always support our law enforcement. I know this board feels the same way as the city of Fresno does and always will. One final thing, I thought that I had after our conversation about the new building, I remember there was a story that I saw about the assets that the county has in terms of all the land assets and things of that, and there was an inventory, and there was a lot that wasn't known about that. Do we know all the assets? Because I'm thinking of that when we're looking at maybe building a new building and looking at things and trying to avoid bonding if we can, if there's an inventory, and we can maybe look at some of those assets in order to sell some of those assets that we don't need to perhaps build a sheriff's station or help us with building a new building.
No, thank you, Supervisor Bedefeld. We do. Matt Constantine, who has met with you on code enforcement, was also tasked working with our internal services department to essentially clean up and centralize our inventory of properties, but also to identify properties that were no longer needed that could be sold. And so they have a report that's come to me that will be coming to your board for just that reason. We also have a lot of properties that are simply easements, that are things that we can't use for property, but we need to either maintain or get rid of. But that report will be coming back to your board, and we've got a full GIS system where we can give you access so that you can also see each of those properties the county now owns and has access to.
Do you know what the total of those assets are? Roughly?
I do not. Off the top of my head, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. You got anything?
Yeah, just a couple of quick updates. I spoke about earlier, I attended the Challenge Award ceremony in Sacramento, and again, appreciate having an opportunity to travel with Amina and Paul. We all rode together and had some good conversations. This Friday, I will be leaving for the National Association of Counties, of which I'm on the board of directors for NACO, and also sit as the vice chair of their Finance, Pensions, and Intergovernmental Affairs. And 2, I want to discuss that I will be working with Supervisor Bredefeld. He's been working on an ordinance as it relates to copper wire, and staff has been involved with this as well. So we hope to have something that we'll be able to bring back in a couple of weeks, and just making this body know that we're working on that currently. And the sheriff has made it clear that this is a challenge for him, and so really appreciate Supervisor Bredefeld kind of taking the lead on that. Want to make sure that everyone, all the board members are up here are aware of us working on that. If there's any issues, let us know.
Supervisor Chavez, do you have anything? Okay, good. Going back to, Gary, you asked about the properties. That's me and Pacheco came in about 10 years ago, and I think we know more now today than we did then. It seemed like 10 years ago, nobody knew anything when it came to what properties we own. So, it's been a long haul, but we're getting a handle on it, because there's a lot of 2 and 3 and 4 acre parcels that are owned around the county that got forgotten about. Yeah. Okay, we'll move to board appointments. Does anybody have any? No. None? You got one?
I've got actually 3. So
Oh.
To the Clovis Citizens Review Panel, Library Sales Tax, reappoint Judith Pruce, whose term expired on 1/6 of 2025. To the Fresno Madera Area Agency on Aging, appoint Kim Cruiser to the at-large seat, which expired on 1/3 of 2022. To the Civil Service Commission, appoint Kim Cruiser to the District 5 seat, which expired on 1/6, 2025.
Okay. Supervisor Chavez, you got any? Okay, so we've got, is there any public comment on those appointments? Hearing none, take a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
We now move to item number 10, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the board on any matter that's not on this agenda.
It's not on the agenda. There will be a closed session one after this one.
Hello. Hello, my name is Judy Miser. I'm a clinician with the Fresno County DBH, and it is an honor to be here in front of you today. I wrote everything down to make sure I was a little bit more concise. So while meaningful steps have been taken to support the mental health clinicians of Fresno County Department of Behavioral Health, significant challenges continue to hinder both staff and the communities we serve. These persistent issues not only impact workforce morale, but also limit our ability to provide high-quality care to some of the county's most vulnerable populations. We continue to lack adequate workspaces, making it difficult to provide quality care. Rigid scheduling policies add unnecessary stress, and despite advances in telehealth, we are denied more flexible and remote work options, even when our caseloads are heavily virtual. Many of us are struggling to balance work with personal responsibilities, yet the system offers little flexibility or compassion. This has led clinicians to leave DBH for private practice and opportunities at other less archaically run organizations. We need leadership that wants not only their department, but their community to thrive. A strong, compassionate leadership team is essential to retaining skillful professionals. However, concerns have been raised regarding Director Susan Holt's dismissive approach to staff's well-being. Statements attributed to Director Holt, such as, "If you don't want to work here, you don't have to work here," reinforce a culture of disregard for clinician retention. This approach has contributed to the loss of passionate professionals who are committed to serving Fresno County's most vulnerable populations. Rather than investing in the retention and well-being of his existing clinicians, DBH has increasingly relied on costly contracted employees from outside the county. This raises serious concerns about resource allocation, as these contractors may receive higher compensation and greater flexibility than the full-time staff who remain committed to Fresno County. Let's invest in the good clinicians that already dedicate themselves to this deserving community before more damage is done. Due to staff shortages and poorer working conditions caused by mismanagement by Fresno County DBH, clinicians are experiencing extreme stress reactions leading to further attrition. Many are on the verge of leaving to protect their own mental health and avoid burnout in a field that they once called to serve. And it's devastating that I know a lot of clinicians that their doctors have told them that a lot of their physical ailments are stress-related. And they're saying work less, do less, when all we hear is do more, do more, do more. Despite working with clients facing severe mental health challenges, including suicidality, self-harm, psychosis, and aggression, clinicians receive little to no substantive training. Since 2019, I have led group sessions on in-depth therapeutic modalities without having received the appropriate training to do so effectively. This is a disservice not only to the staff, but also to the clients that we are entrusted to help. The expectation to provide high-quality care without adequate training or support places clinicians in highly stressful and at times ethically compromising positions. We have repeatedly requested specialized training opportunities. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
All right,
the time.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Mendez and members of the board. My name is Diane Pierce, and I am the Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Clovis. While I am not here representing either the city or the council, I am representing thousands of my community members, and I am here to read a letter into the record and then leave it with the clerk for you. I write this letter to express my support for any effort the Board of Supervisors may undertake to remove the dangerous situation created in our communities by SB 54. Our local law enforcement put their lives on the line every day for us. To have a state that does not allow them complete discretion to fully partner with any and all federal agencies to provide the highest level and utmost in public safety is unacceptable. Sheriff Zanoni has expressed his frustration with SB 54 and the restrictions it places on him and his department to have unfettered, two-way communication with federal immigration authorities. SB 54 forces Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, officials outside the secure environment of our county jail and into our neighborhoods among the general public to apprehend the criminals they are looking to remove from our communities. This is detrimental to public safety and creates unnecessary fear among law-abiding residents. I have heard from countless Clovis residents about the concerns and burdens associated with illegal immigration. In December 2024, an illegal alien living in Clovis took the lives of a Coarse-Gold woman and a Clovis man in a DUI traffic collision. The people of Fresno County expect their government to make public safety its top priority. In a state that handcuffs law enforcement instead of criminals, we must rely on our local elected officials to stand up for our police departments and sheriff's office and our citizens and legal residents. I heard Supervisor Magzig express an openness to sue the state over SB 54, and Supervisor Bredefeld has stated his desire to see that happen as well. On behalf of those who have supported my speaking out against California's dangerous sanctuary state policies, I urge this board to show Fresno County our commitment to law enforcement and public safety by filing a lawsuit against the state of California over SB 54. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would ask that audience members pay the same respect to speakers as we pay to you when you speak. So do not heckle or make comments. Thank you.
And I would second that, and I appreciate Councilmember Pierce coming before us and share her feelings about it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, I actually have stuff to hand out. Do I hand it to you? Okay. Good morning. Hi, my name is Alyssa Blue. I greatly appreciate you guys allowing me the opportunity to be here this morning to speak. My background comes mainly from nonprofit work and community-based organizations. I moved here from the Midwest about 4 years ago, and since I moved here, have been a very active voice in all of the Central Valley, working with local nonprofits to help further resources and kind of acting as a public liaison to help them get their services into schools, into public health buildings. And so today I am here to speak on behalf of most of all of us working in nonprofits here in the Central Valley. So that's Kings County, Tulare County, and Fresno County. I am a resident of Kings County. I'm here to speak today because we look to you guys, Fresno County, as our supervisors, the people we look to for guidance. If we are struggling with similar issues legislative-wise in Kings County and Tulare County, we're going to look for the example that you guys set. That is why I'm here today, because it's been brought to the attention of the news. Fresno Land specifically had an article put out on some of the board members' stances on diversity, equity, and inclusion language. So I am here today to talk about Bredefeld specifically. You're the one who was in the news, so you're the one who was quoted saying you didn't feel like you needed any oversight to make a decision to direct human resources to remove diversity, equity, and inclusion language from county job postings, mainly affecting behavioral health and social services, which is why I'm here, because that's my whole livelihood is behavioral health and social services. This decision was made without public discussion, which you very openly stated in a quote in Fresno Land article. There was no proper oversight, and it directly undermines the very community our county is supposed to serve. Governor Newsom's executive order N-1622, which is what I have handed out to you so that you can read it for yourselves, signed on September 13th of 2022 and effective through 2026, mandates that all state agencies and departments update their strategic plans to use data analysis and inclusive practices to advance equity. This includes mission statements, policies, programs, operations, and hiring practices to better serve all Californians. So if you'd like to further read it, you're more than welcome to. It's why I provided a copy. Beyond the legal concerns, the real-world impact would be devastating. Both Glassdoor, the Catalyst Center, and the Pew Research Center found that about 3/4 of job seekers and those currently employed consider DEI a major factor when deciding where to work. But more concerning, 33% of applicants will not even apply to a workplace that lacks diversity. So when it comes to behavioral health and social services specifically, that is the most important field to have cultural competency and people working who come from a background that they're serving. Our community here in Fresno is made up of several different kinds of ethnic groups and racial groups, with not a single one holding a majority, and those would be Asian American, Latino, Black, Indigenous, and immigrant families.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Robert Schmidt. I'm a veteran of the Korean War, and I have a question for you. You can debate building new buildings of $40 million or $56 million, yet you refuse, no, I shouldn't say refuse, but you deny these people a living wage. Thank you.
That was on the agenda.
Greetings. I am Nally Sanchez, who has lived in beautiful Clovis, California, all of my life when there was no pavement. Our family home that we still own, we bought it as hard work. In Clovis, we have been brought up to help out each other. That's the way of life in Clovis. I see you, Supervisor Nathan Masig, going out of your way and keeping our standard of living in Clovis, helping in several events at the senior center, serving Thanksgiving meals, and so on. Thank you. That's just the way of life still in Clovis. Seniors in Clovis rely on our providers, which there are many providers that live in Clovis. I have experienced and seen providers go up and beyond in assisting us recipients. But I also see their struggles in the rise in our economy today, struggling in putting food on their table, gas for going to work, car payments, and sky-high car insurance, which us recipients in Clovis depend on our providers to assist us to our medical needs, shopping, etc. I am happy that today providers have health insurance, but today I understand that this human need in health insurance is in jeopardy. Please, Supervisor Nathan Masig, take care of your people in Clovis and keeping their health insurance and giving a raise to balance the rise in economy, which us folks in Clovis see the funds that you give them come back into Clovis. This job is a life-saving work. Supervisor Nathan Masig, please show them that respect of our way of life in Clovis, where we were brought up in helping each other. In God's name I plead. Thank you for hearing us.
Thank you for giving me the time to speak today. I'm an advocate, born and raised here all my life. I wanted to make it known how utterly disgusted I am with the way some of the council members here think that it's okay that this country has moved beyond racism just because the law says it's illegal through the Civil Rights Act in 1964. Just a couple of weeks ago, Bredefeld decided to take it upon himself to remove the DEI language from all government forms and all those who receive grants, just to apply the race-neutral language in the law according to himself. Let me pose this question to you. Do you really think racism has disappeared, especially on a systemic level, considering the slave trade all the way up until 1964, which is over 300 years of black people being second-class citizens or outright property? You really think that fully privileged white people and the system they created all of a sudden really relinquish all their powers that were baked into it in just 2 or 3 generations? Let me give you this fact. Ruby Ridges, the little black girl photographed in black and white attending her first day in the first integrated school in Louisiana while getting stoned by white people, is still alive today at the rightful age of 70. She is still speaking her truths about the black community this very day, contrary to popular belief of what white people-owned textbooks want you to believe. It was not that long ago. There are still people who threw stones at her walking around this day. This issue of race in our society has been baked into the very core, and we still feel the elements since its inception. I know for the fact that Bredefeld can't read. I don't know how he's up there with all the power that he has, because if he did read, he would he would read upon the scarring effects that racist policies that were targeted against people of color, women, gay, trans people. Policies such as redlining, gerrymandering, Don't Say Gay Bill, Chinese Exclusion Act, the Indian Removal Act, and the exclusion of women from making their own decisions on their reproductive health, like getting their own tubes tied without the express consent of their spouse or parents, and the list goes on and on. Not too long ago, back in 2017, Bredefeld had to issue a statement apologizing for his racist rhetoric, talking about kneeling during the NFL national anthem, and then quickly ranting about the very context-deprived racist statistics about how blacks kill each other more than cops killing blacks. Notice how he uses blacks instead of black people, the language that has been historically significant of dehumanizing marginalized people, especially black people. You know who else used blacks? Klansmen. They use it as a very old dehumanizing way of using language. And it's no surprise that he brings up removing DEI. So I'm just flabbergasted that we are here today repeating the same language from just 2017. The protections under DEIA are a bandaged solution to a systemic issue that we all have to live through, unless you're a white man. Read your history books, Gary. You're just a wannabe Trump ever since I've followed you in Twitter since 2017, repeating every single little thing Trump says, regurgitating them as if they were facts.
Thank you. No clapping. You start clapping, I'm going to throw everybody out.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Mary Helen Lopez, and I found it outrageous that we stood here and sat there and listened to a person that came from Clovis that had the audacity to have the insult the people. We all bleed the same. We are all the same, and I don't care. It's Bogadash. Yes, that's a kind word. Kind word. And for you to tell me to shut up out here is wrong, because I have an opinion. I am a citizen, and I will voice my opinion. I don't care what you have to say, that I need to be quiet.
Well, when you're sitting in the deal, you're going to be quiet.
Yes, excuse me.
No,
Yes,
sit down.
We will address.
Sit down.
You don't tell me what to do. You're not my father or my
Sit
mother.
down.
You are not my father or my mother.
Sit down.
I am a citizen of this Fresno County, Mr. Buddy Mendez.
Sit down. Get this lady out of here. You're out of order.
You're gonna touch me? Where am I going? You disrupted this area, Mr. Buddy.
Do you want to speak on this item or the other item?
I'll wait till you call for comments for closed session items, sir.
Yeah.
But this is just in regards to, first of all, I'd like to, thank Labor Relations. I know they've been working with SEIU in regards to a matter concerning the Department of Behavioral Health in regards to meeting the needs of the community. But I just want to bring forward that as the county is looking for a solution to resolve shortfalls in coverage for the community, there are issues that one of my members talked about that we really have been trying to solve at the bargaining table. And we're hoping that the words that were presented to you earlier, that they resonate with you, and there's direction given to Ms. Holt to to try to resolve some of these issues during the next upcoming contract bargaining session. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sue Hammond, and I am the district leader for 5. And I want to apologize for that outburst. That has no reflection on our union at all. Please disregard that, and please listen to what we have to say as our union members.
Thank you. You're very respectful and always have been. Is that the end of regular public comment so we can move to?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Daniel. Hi, Gary. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I am a parent-child advocate for Fresno County, for parents and children that have been gravely impacted by the CPS system here in Fresno County. My life has been destroyed by the behavior of the county. My child's life has been destroyed, and multiple Witnesses, including police detectives, clinicians with Valley Children's, and a myriad of people in between, have been attacked and slandered by this county and by CPS. In Hardwick versus Orange, CPS does not have the right to lie. Steve Brandeau, a former colleague of yours, did a very thorough investigation on what happened here, and it was ignored. It was ignored by you, Paul, and it was ignored by County Council. You guys have lied on the record about families and children and have violated Penal Code 11166. Sonia Bouguet just stood up here and gave you numbers. Those numbers are not real. If you evaluate out abuse and do not go to the home, that counts as a number to make her look like she's doing a good job. If you don't have an interaction with the family, that doesn't go in her numbers. And also, calls to the police are not being made per Penal Code 11166. So CPS is mandated by law to cross-report. We have sergeants at the police at Fresno PD that have been lied about, their staff has been lied about in reports by CPS. And you guys have literally attacked me, disparaged me for fighting for the parents and children to be safe. The reason why it looks like kids are safer under Sonia Bouguet is because they're not the real numbers. Okay, you guys know this, all of you, because I've emailed, not all of you, because some of you are new, but most of you have been emailed this information. And I'm standing here today telling you, this is a crisis. You have children put back. You're building a new facility, but you have children put back and left in violent homes. And then you've punished parents that are safe. For whistleblower laws are real. You guys have violated the law, and you have attacked me for filing torts to try and hold you accountable. And I'm not the only one. You have come after police detectives. And when I'm saying you, I mean Fresno County, obviously, not you guys personally, but some of you personally. And I ask that that stop. And I ask that CPS be accountable. Dalvin Baker lied on the stand about Clovis Unified, who I was just on the phone with. This is a crisis. And you guys keep giving accolades to CPS when we are not safe here, and advocates can't even speak. And I can 100% confirm everything I'm saying. This is a bureaucratic nightmare. It's someone else's problem always. Steve Brandeau tried to bring this to this board.
Okay,
And I'm going to
thank you very
give the
much.
floor to this grandfather now who's had very similar experience.
Thank you very much.
How you doing? I'm not as good a speaker, I guess, as she is, but Mr. Masigan, my daughter sent you an email referring to what took place at courtroom over here at Family Court. She has yet to have any response from you. I'm dealing with a situation where my daughter is going through a ugly child custody deal. Senate Bill 331, which is Peaky's Law. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this law, but the judge overseeing the court had no clue what this law was. He actually had my daughter translate the law to her. It is talking about the violation of putting reunification of the parents when they are been reported as being in harm's way by one of the parents. I'm not going to take up all 3 minutes. I'm going to move forward, just kind of leave it there. Mr. Bradford, I'm glad to see you up there. I've watched you do your campaigning. I think you're a fighter. I hope you listen to what I had to say. Mr. Magseg, you need to check your email, and I think you really do need to respond to this letter that my daughter sent to you. It is quite unnerving to see what's going on in that courtroom right over there. Very unnerving.
Resend the email, and how long was it sent? Because that's not ringing a bell to
Sent the
me.
email just the other day. I believe it was on Wednesday or Thursday.
Oh, then it may already be looked into if it was that recent. But just leave a copy with the clerk, and then I will definitely take a look at that. Thank you.
Okay, it's got the court case on here.
Perfect.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. I would also like to know if you can tell me who is over the judges when you have a disagreement with a judge?
No,
There is no.
there is none.
They're separate from us. The state manages the judges, we don't.
Okay. Any direction you choose to give me? Any suggestions, recommendations? Anything?
No.
Can't tell me which kind of direction to go, Gary?
Well, I think as they're saying, it's within the legal system. That's not what we're doing, so you'd have to
Okay.
deal with that.
You folks have a good day.
Okay,
Thank
take
you.
care.
Hello, my name's Michelle. Bredefeld,
let's not forget what DEIA actually stands for and why it's important to keep it. So I'll break it down. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And for the sake of time, I'll mainly talk about diversity. A lot of DEIA supporters cite the U.S. Civil Rights Act of 1964 as the catalyst for modern DEIA, outlawing discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. One of the things it outlaws is employment discrimination. Diversity not only covers Black and brown people, but also women, LGBTQ+, people of all ages and cultures, people with disabilities, socioeconomic classes, religious backgrounds, and veteran status. Preserving DEIA means employers cannot discriminate against you based on the above. And Bredefeld, I know you're a veteran, and how would you like it if, in this case, a government employer decides not to hire someone based on prejudices they have against veterans, such as, oh, they may be too traumatized and they only have 3 fingers on their left hand. Are they even capable of doing their job? They're always trouble to have around. I'll pass. Even though they are fully capable of their job duties and are good workers. The only people who think DEIA is about race are racist. In 2017, you ranted about the NFL players exercising their First Amendment right, calling them repugnant, disrespectful, misguided, and a dishonor to the country and themselves when they kneeled to the national anthem. Then you said, our national anthem, our flag, represents the men and women who gave life and limb for our country. It reflects their sacrifice so that we can live in freedom, even though the country you so cherish was created on the backs of Black people. Then you went on a long, off-topic, racist rant about Black people, calling them Blacks this, Blacks that, which is historically dehumanizing and a word the KKK would use to refer to Black people. You went on a long racist rant against Black people, having followed you on Twitter. It's clear as day why you want to remove the EIA. You're racist and a devout Trump fan. Let's not lie to ourselves. Removing DEIA is only going to make it easier for employers to discriminate against the less privileged, and places are going to start looking like pre-civil rights era, since this is where this country is headed anyway, whites only. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Barbara Fisk. I live in District 3. So appreciative to be able to be here today. I have a lot of volunteer experience working in various advocacy roles, but also in leadership with education, city government, and like local community associations and stuff. I was a bit surprised about Dr. Bredefeld's about the news conference on February 14th. I'm in school right now. I'm pursuing a master's in clinical counseling. And I've done a lot of work in the last 10 or 15 years with different departments in this county. I am so grateful for the work that you do and the work that we've heard about all morning long. What I was curious about was the discussion of removing certain language. That language is there because there's reasons for that language. And as a doctor of psychology, that language is actually a part of our sector, like what we agree to uphold. Social workers, licensed clinical social workers, all of these hundreds of employees come from educated places where they got educated, and they have an understanding of what it means to be culturally sensitive. And so I was curious about how language that just agrees with that protects all of these different folks who are coming from these different professions, how that, I didn't understand that. The language that was referred to in the Fresno land said part of that job description was talking about the community that people will be working with. And it says that to be reflective of our community and have the expertise to ensure our workforce is culturally and linguistically responsive and maximizes our diversity to render quality services in the most responsive, affirming, and caring manner possible for the persons we serve. This requires merit. This requires skill. Not everybody could do these jobs. So grateful for the hundreds of folks that are caring for our community. So although this wasn't something that came before the board, I think it would be really helpful if it did. Or a discussion with the department heads of why this language is so important for our community. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ricky Cha. I'm usually at the city meetings, but I decided to come to county because Betterfield, I support you. You did good over there at city. You called a lot of the programs. You were like, you questioned a lot of them, and what you said it's exactly what happened. A lot of the programs they had at city didn't happen. I was in the VIP program, and I remember you questioned it, like it's not going to work. We need better safeguards, and it didn't work. We gave the landlord all this money, and we ended up being evicted anyways. And I remember you were against, kind of not against it, but you wanted more input about it, you know. And we were like, oh, you know. So I too was one side anti-Gary, like, oh, you know. But you end up knowing what you were talking about a lot of times. At the end, it came down. He knew. We knew what was meant at the end. You are always right. You know, you're a well-educated man, and you do know. You might doubt him a lot of times, like I did, but now he turned out to be right in a lot of things. The programs, a lot of everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck up there. That's all.
Okay, at this time, we will now do public comment on closed session items 11 through 14.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman, point of order. Number of comments were made directed at me. Would I have an opportunity to respond? Can I respond? Or, I mean, I know you've got the time factor.
No, actually, I shouldn't even have let them speak when they started condemning you, but
No,
you
that's
have a
okay.
free speech right to say what you did. They have a
Okay.
free speech right to say, and we're not going to
Okay,
get into that.
okay.
Oh, wait a second.
Perdón.
Sorry.
Antes que nada, quiero
Before
pedir una disculpa
I would like to request your forgiveness
por el comportamiento de la
for
compañera.
the behavior of our partner.
Tiene el derecho de hablar,
She has the right
de
to talk,
expresarse,
to express herself,
mas no ese comportamiento.
but not with that way.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Mi nombre es Elvira de la Cruz.
My name is Elvira de la Cruz.
Trabajo para HSS
I work for
hace
IHSS
10 años.
about 10 years,
Y el trabajo que yo
and the
hago
work that I do
no es fácil,
is not easy,
pero lo amo.
but I love it.
Alguien tiene que hacer este trabajo.
Somebody has to do this job.
Cuido 4 personas
I take care of 4 people,
y es bien difícil
and it's very
transportarme de un
difficult
pueblo
to come
a
from
otro,
one town to another
pero aquí
town,
estamos en la lucha.
but here we are on the fight.
¿Saben ustedes
Do you know that
cuánto gana una terapista,
how much a therapist earns,
una enfermera,
a nurse,
cocinera,
a cook,
housekeeping?
a housekeeper?
Nosotros somos todo eso
We do all of that
sin tener un título
without having a title
y ganando un sueldo mínimo.
and earning a minimum salary.
Las personas que yo cuido
The people that I help
en el futuro
in the future,
pudiera ser su padre de
it
ustedes,
could probably be your
Un hijo,
parents, a son,
un sobrino,
nephew,
sobrino, y lo vamos a cuidar con mucho
and we
amor
would take care of him with lots of love
por el salario que sea.
for any salary. It
Pero
doesn't
estamos
matter.
aquí
But we're here
por la lucha que
fighting
nos aumenten $1 y
to get
centavos
$1 and a few cents
para completar
raise
los $20.
to be able to complete our $20.
Yo de verdad en lo personal
I personally,
no sé cuál es el problema
I
para
don't
que
know-
no se nos aumente
I don't know what's the problem that we don't get the
y nos
raise
den una aseguranza médica
and
que
the-
nos merecemos.
and to get the health insurance that we do deserve.
Unos rayos X o para agarrar un medicamento de alergias,
To get x-rays or allergy medication, for example,
no tengo el derecho.
I don't have the right.
Yo ahorita quiero dirigirme a Brian
I would right now like to talk to Brian,
Pacheco,
Mr. Brian Pacheco.
que él nos dijo que nos iba a apoyar.
He said he was going to support us.
Nosotros lo apoyamos a usted
We
para
supported
estar ahí.
you to be there.
Usted estuvo en los zapatos de nosotros
You were in our
mínimo.
shoes, the minimum part. I mean,
Yo quisiera que estuviera aquí
I would
y
like
yo
for
allá
you to be
para ver cómo
here,
usted se sintiera
and
como
then
nosotros nos
for me
sentimos
to be
ahora.
there and to see how I would feel when you see us
para que vean
here,
el trabajo completo que hacemos nosotros
so you can see the complete work that we do, the job that we
como
do,
responsabilidad y
responsibility,
humanamente.
and as a human
Es
being.
desgastante emocionalmente y psicológicamente para
Emotionally,
nosotros.
it's very, very stressful and physically for us.
Lo único que pido es un sueldo razonable y la aseguranza médica.
I only ask for a fair salary and health insurance.
Yo quisiera saber, Brian, ¿qué ha hecho usted para mí?
Brian, I would like to know what you've done for us, for me,
Para mi comunidad,
for my community,
porque usted es mi representante.
because
de
you
mi
are my
comunidad.
representative.
Gracias por
Thank you
escucharme.
for
Con
listening.
permiso.
Excuse me.
Good morning again, Chairman Mendez, members, supervisors. I'm first going to read to you a prepared statement, but my name is Riley Talford. I'm the Fresno County Chapter President of SEIU Local 521. I'm standing here in support of our sister local SEIU 2015. Fresno needs to put care first by investing in care now. In 2024, more than 429,690 authorized care hours went unused in Fresno County, indicating a shortage of caregivers. In Fresno County, the growth in IHS recipients consumers exploded over the past 10 years, growing by 76% between 2012 and 2023, which is why now the time to put care first by supporting our proposal to help retain and attract caregivers for future of care in Fresno County. Additional investment in our caregivers here in Fresno County and throughout the state is urgently needed to help stem the exodus of staff leaving this industry. An investment in-home and community-based care would help meet the growing demand for care and establish a pipeline of home care workers into the next generation by transforming care jobs into good living wage union jobs with training opportunities and real career pathways. It is time for Fresno County to invest in its caregivers, and that starts with a strong contract guaranteeing livable wages and adequate health care coverage. Our organization has worked hand in hand with SEIU 2015's Fresno caregivers, and we have seen firsthand how hard they work and the care crisis they are experiencing. Now is the time for the Board of Supervisors to give caregivers a contract that creates a better care infrastructure so that IHS can retain and attract more workers to the field. 1 in 5 home care providers say they may leave the industry, citing low wages and lack of benefits. Again, Fresno is in a care crisis. Just over 80% of IHS providers in Fresno County report working multiple jobs. Over 55% of IHS providers in Fresno County are sometimes or are often unable to access medication because they cannot afford the cost of prescriptions. 57.5% of IHS providers, bless you, also reported that sometimes or often are prevented from visiting the doctor due to concerns about rising costs. On behalf of SEIU 521, I'm calling to say enough is enough. It is time for the Fresno Board to invest in caregivers with livable wages. That means protecting their health care, to retain and attract workers, and to help improve the care crisis in Fresno County. Many of us in Fresno community have loved ones or know of people who have been graced by the hard work of IHS caregivers. And in short, we all age. People want to age gracefully in their homes, whether they have healthcare issues or age-related issues, and it's very important that we have folks that can continue to do that work and have a livable wage while they do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Riley.
Bueno, mi nombre es Alondra, ya muchos me conocen,
My
o ya todos me conocen.
My name is Alondra. Maybe most of you know me or
Hemos-
most of you don't. Maybe.
Hemos hablado
We
mucho
have
de
talked
nuestro
a
sueldo.
lot about our wages.
Nuestro trabajo es muy
Our
pesado,
job is very
demasiado
heavy, it's
pesado,
very difficult.
porque nosotros transportamos
Because
a
we
las personas,
transport
por decir
people.
algo, yo lo viví
Just to say an
con
example, I lived
alguien
it
que fue mi esposo,
with my
él ya
husband.
falleció.
He already passed away.
Y los transportes no
But
querían llevarlo
transport
porque la
wouldn't take him
aseguranza no lo
because
cubría.
insurance wouldn't cover the transport.
Nosotros gastamos
So
tiempo,
we
dinero
spent time,
y
money,
esfuerzo,
and
porque es
effort
muy difícil
because it's
subirlo a
very
los
hard
carros,
to put him up in the car,
llevarlos y
carry them
regresarlos.
and bring them back.
Nosotros no tenemos una aseguranza
We don't
médica,
have an insurance,
no
a
tenemos
medical insurance.
medicamentos,
We
no
don't have
tenemos
medication.
atención
We don't
médica.
have medical attention.
Para nosotros es demasiado
For us,
pesado
it's very
y
hard.
no es justo lo que
It's
estamos
not
ganando.
fair, the money that we
En-
make, the wages.
Entonces, lo que pedimos no es
So
mucho,
what
no
we're
es
asking
nada.
is not a
La
lot.
gasolina va para
Gas
arriba.
is going up in price.
Brian, cuando pediste el
Mr.
apoyo, se
Brian,
te
when you
dio el
asked for the
apoyo.
support, we
Piensa
did give
nomás
you the
en eso.
support.
Tú
Just think
tienes
of that.
familia.
You have your family.
Dios no lo quiera, tú
May
puedes
God not,
vivir lo que
God forgive
nosotros
that you may
estamos
be
viviendo.
living
So,
what
entonces,
we're
por
living
favor,
right now.
haz
Please
algo por
do
nosotros.
something for us.
Eso es todo. Muchas
That's all.
gracias.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Lorelei Martinez, and I just want to say that as a IHSS provider, I feel like as a younger generation, I feel like we should also have the opportunities to have a living wage as to also being involved with our community. You guys keep saying about future generations and just us, the younger generation, that we should take care of our communities. But what are you guys doing for us as we give back to the community? And I think we should be able to get that wage increase because other places get paid far more than Fresno do. Would be around $20 other places, and it is really stressful, and I feel like not a lot of people have or think about that the effort that we put into and taking care of our elders, because not a lot of people would want to stay in this job for what, $17? As a question, would you guys work a job that only pays not even one of your bills? And I'm just saying that it would be greatly appreciated if we could get that increase and benefits. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, supervisors. I want to thank you for the job that you have done. And it is a very difficult job, to have all the responsibility to allocate the funds to the different organizations or services. I acknowledge it. I know it's very difficult. I do want to say that my area supervisor, I want to thank you for all you've done. We worked way a ways back, I want to say 5 years ago in Mendota, where there was a groundbreaking of the Amor Wellness Center, where I presented you to Mendota and other things in the county, which we need. We just need you to vote for us, for ISSS, which the money is coming back to the community. And so it's not even back to the community, it is in the community. So I acknowledge, and more than anyone, and I was the first one to say, no, we don't endorse Brian. And one of our friend, he told me yes and why. And you know what? And I went with the okay, let's endorse him and let's give him that time to prove himself. And we're at that time again. And I want to thank Luis Chavez for all he does in the community, and each one of you, Nathan and Buddy and Gary. It's not easy, but it's time to bring it to the most fragile. The times are hard. I don't even have to tell you anymore about everything everybody said, but I do appreciate your work. I do understand. Well, I really can't begin to understand, but I see it's really hard to allocate the money, but it's time. It's time to put us a little bit above the animal shelters, above the, almost, hopefully, I wish we could say at the same level as the restaurant workers, but do your best.
Thank you very
and
much.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I came up after the speaker that came up here she does not totally represent our union, okay? I'm Sue Hammond, and I am the district leader of Clovis. And I just want to, again, apologize for the outbreak because we had no idea that was going to happen. We are a peaceful union. We come here because we are all IHSS workers, and we are here for our two priorities, and that is better wages and also to keep this program alive. And just like the young lady that spoke a couple minutes ago, I'm here to represent the younger people. I am 70 years old, but I still work a couple days a week taking care of my daughter's father-in-law. I'm not here just on behalf of myself, but I'm here for my brothers and my sisters here. And I want to see this field to continue to grow. So that's why we are here asking each and every one of you to vote to increase our wages, to give us $1.25 an hour, and to open up those spots for more health care, because there's a lot of people out there that do not have the money or the funds that can afford health care. And in order for us to be able to do our jobs, we need to be able to stay healthy like everybody else. And that's what we're here for. We're here in peace. We're not here to cause any problems to anybody. And I just hope that you will vote for a better wage for us and to open up more spots for our health care. And I want to say thank you to Gary, to Brian, to Buddy, Mr. Buddy, Mr. Nathan, and Mr. Lewis. Thank you for all the work that you do. I know your jobs aren't easy either. And I know you have to listen to everybody come up here and say the things they do. But I want you to know that we appreciate the jobs that you have, and I'd like you to appreciate and respect the jobs that we have as IHSS providers. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Okay, we appreciate you. You're very, very nice lady. Okay, with that, we will be going into closed session. County Council, will they have anything to report out?
Mr. Chairman, we do not anticipate any announcements at a closed session, so if the board chooses, it may adjourn following closed session.
Okay, with that, we'll go into closed session then.
I'm assuming we're first. Shalene.